We're so busy caring about everybody else, we forget about ourselves sometimes. Women should be emphasizing self-wellness as well as everyone else's wellness. In fact, our self-wellness sometimes might be a little bit more important. One form of self-wellness is financial wellness. Do you feel like you're struggling even though you're working hard and you just can't get ahead? If you're constantly worrying about money, you're going to be stressed. That's not self-wellness. And that stress is probably overflowing into other aspects of your life. We're going to go step by step into money pits that women fall into. I don't want you to fall into them. Some of these traps are subtle. They just kind of sneak up on you. And some you've heard about before, you just haven't incorporated or thought you could incorporate them into your financial lives. Let's chat about 8 money mistakes that could be jeopardizing your future and causing you too much stress. Hi, I'm Ann. You all ready to chat? Mistake number 1, not asking for a raise. According to Indeed, only 51% of women walk into their boss's office and ask for a raise. 49% of you don't. You're leaving money on the table. That same study showed that 61% of women feel they have to work harder than men to get ahead. So let's talk about that a minute. We're going to work harder to get ahead, but we're not going to get paid to go ahead. It doesn't add up. There are 3 reasons why women don't ask for a raise. One is just confidence. They don't feel confident enough to go in. Second, they're afraid of consequences if they ask for more money. And third, they just don't feel they've had an opportune time to ask for it. You need to self-advocate. You need to go in there and advocate for yourself. You do it for other people, do it for yourself. I guarantee you the man in the cubicle, two cubicles over from you, is walking into the boss and asking for a raise or asking for a promotion. Why can't you do it? You can do it. So even if it's daunting, get off your chair, walk into that office, and politely, don't demand it, ask for a raise. But be prepared to tell them why he should give you a raise or she should give you a raise. Why? Don't walk in and say, I need it. That's not a good reason for the company to give a raise. Just let them know you did this, you worked on this project, you fixed this problem, and you would like a raise. You can do it. Number 2, no organization or planning. I mean, we can organize the soccer league's after team party. We can plan a trip to Europe, but we're not going to organize and plan our finances. And that's what happens. We get caught up in everything else. We put that to the side and let it run its own course. Take the time to organize your finances. If you don't, you're operating in the dark. You don't know what's coming in and what's going out. That's when it gets dangerous, because you can spend more than what your income is and end up in debt. So make an appointment with yourself every month. It's non-negotiable. This is the time you sit down, you go through your budget, adjust if you have to. You look at what you're saving, and if you have investment, you look at those too and see how they're performing. These are all tasks that you'll need to do to make sure you're financially sound and are going to improve your finances for the future. If you have a partner or spouse, both of you get together and have this monthly meeting. And I mean, once more, it's non-negotiable. We're going to sit down, go over our budget, and discuss what we want to do, what our goals are, and what we need to do to get to those goals. Do we need to save money? Do we need to sell something? Do we need to start a side hustle? You need to do that once a month. Number 3. This mistake is one that's going to strike you a little hard for the moment, but number 3 is thinking all you need to do is budget. So you think you're good at handling money because you've got that budget and you're sticking to it. But I gotta be honest with you, people can't budget themselves to wealth. It takes other factors as well. Don't get me wrong, you have to have a budget. You have to have a budget in order to succeed with your other financial plans. But that's not the only piece of the pie. So with a budget, you concentrate on the expenses, but you need to take a look at the income as well. What's coming in? What do you need more coming in? Do you need to start a side hustle to generate more income? Are you staying within budget, but you don't have any money at the end of the month? That's an issue. You might want to take a look at your expenses again or your income and say, I'm going to slash this and I'm going to do this side hustle to increase my income. Then you have extra money at the end of the month to save or invest. Put your money in a high yield savings account or invest it. You save that money, you put it away. Don't spend it on something else. You're going to save this money for your future. It can be a high yield savings account. It can be stocks and bonds, whatever you want. And if you feel that you don't have enough money to put away, that you've cut it to the bone, think about $10, $20, $30 a month or a week going into your savings account. I guarantee you that'll add up pretty quickly. Number 4 mistake, your partner or spouse handles all the finances. You let them do that, you have no knowledge of what's going on. Do you even have stocks? Where are the savings accounts located? Do you know how much is in them? Do you know what the expenses are in total? You're operating blind. And if something happens to that spouse or partner, you're gonna have a difficult time. And this is a common thing. This is not unusual. Even if your husband doesn't die or spouse doesn't die and you get a divorce, if you haven't been involved in the finances, you probably don't know all the assets. So make sure you know what's going on financially with your monies. And I'm not saying take over doing the finances. I mean sit down with them or her and do the finances. So you know everything that's going on. Do that for yourself. Number 5 mistake, not investing. Fidelity Investment Company did a survey in which they asked women and men if they invested. And they discovered that women have only 32% of their monies invested through a brokerage company. So they didn't have stocks, they didn't have bonds. That's a pretty low number. 47% of women have a 401k, which is fabulous for those of you who are doing that. Bravo. But there are many that aren't. And considering that 80% of the companies in the United States with 500 employees or more have 401ks available to their employees, this is dismal. It's a dismal number. That's free money you're missing out on. Especially if they're matching, you're definitely missing out on free money. For instance, put 3% of your salary away. You probably won't miss it, and they'll match with 3%. Most of them do that. That's 6% you'd be putting away every single year, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows. By doing this, you also receive a tax break, because that's pre-tax money going in there. So you don't have to pay that tax on it until way in the future. It lowers your taxable income when you do that. So take advantage of those 401k plans whenever you can. It's never too early to invest. Talk to a financial advisor and see what you can do with your income. I guarantee you there's more you can invest in than you think. Mistake number 6, not buying life insurance. Only 51% of American women have life insurance. And if you're one of those 51%, bravo, you're doing a good job. If you're not, consider getting a policy. If something were to happen to you, it could financially devastate your family. You have children? Who's going to raise those children? and they're going to need money to raise those children. Life insurance, very important. But another one that doesn't get talked about very often is disability insurance. If you get sick or have an accident and you recover from it and you're sitting at home and can't go to work, disability insurance kicks in, pays you a portion of your salary. This could keep you from financial ruin. It's important to have it. So check your HR department as well. If you're planning on having a baby, I think disability insurance covers your maternity leave. So you might want to check on that and see if that's true if you're up for motherhood. So get yourself a disability policy. It protects your finances and it protects your children as well. Number 7, no will. 54% of American women don't have a will. They have no protection after death for their finances. And some people will say, I don't have any assets to will anyone. Do you have children? Do you have children? Who's going to take care of those children after you pass away? If you're the only parent, who's going to take care of them? That's important to have a will to stipulate what your wishes are for your children. Otherwise, the state decides where the children go. And if you do have a few assets, you're going to find every estranged relative in the house flocking to get a piece of your finances. If you haven't gotten around to it yet, meet with an attorney or download LegalZoom or some of these other legal companies that you can buy a template for a will. Fill it out, have it notarized. I think in most states you have to have a will notarized. You can't sign it and take it to a notary. You have to sign it in front of a notary, so remember that. And get yourself a will. Number 8, this mistake is a common one. No emergency fund. An emergency could be your car broke down and now you've got to repair it and it's a $2,000 repair bill. Or it could be you lost your job. How are you going to survive financially until you find a new one? That's what that emergency fund is for. You should be putting away 3 to 6 months of your expense money monthly. Expenses, I didn't say salary, because you don't need the extra that your salary gives you. You need your hardcore expenses every month paid. So that's what you put away. So that goes back to your budget. So you can look at all your expenses and say, okay, I've got $1,500 worth of expenses. I need to save $1,500 a month until I reach the 6-month point. And by then, hopefully, you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get a new job. You've paid for your car repair. You're doing well at that point because you have an emergency fund. And with an emergency fund, don't put it in your checking account. Don't do it. Don't do it. Put it in a separate account that you won't access. High yield savings accounts are the way to go. And most online banks are high yield savings accounts. Traditional banks give you less than 1% most of the time interest on your money, whereas an online bank like Sophie or LI will give you 4 to 5% interest. You can park your money there and forget about it. And once more, even if you only can put $50 a month, a week, whatever, away, you're building something for yourself. You're building an emergency fund to protect you and your family. And what happens if you don't have that emergency fund? You probably end up in bigger debt because you'll probably be living off your credit cards until you get everything paid off. It's not the way to live. Talk about your stress. Talk about not having well-being. Have an emergency fund and you'll sleep at night. Your finances are more than just following a budget. You have to monitor the budget, obviously, but monitor the other aspects in your life, your investments, your savings, any extra income you can bring in. The budget is just a floor plan. You need to build the house, and you can only do that if you have extra income or you watch your expenses and you save and you invest. What types of financial mistakes do you make? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Continue this chat. Until next time, thanks for the chat.